Well, good afternoon, folks. This is Brad Sweet, and welcome to another edition of Around Town. I'm very fortunate here to have Boxford resident Mike White come and talk to us about one of his projects. His website is havebike.tv, and he's a local bicycle enthusiast, amongst other things. Maple sugar in his part time. So, Mike, welcome aboard.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate that. Beautiful studio you have here.
Well, thank you. And we've been very fortunate to be able to find this piece of real estate. So tell me a little bit about what your event is coming up. Actually, we'll get to that in a little bit. Why don't you tell me, why are you doing this, or what are you doing?
So, about a year ago, during the Boston bombing, I just started deciding that I was going to ride my bike more to work. And I work in Charlestown. And so I started to find a route to Charlestown from Boxford that kind of traveled on the old abandoned railroads. Some of them are being converted to bike paths and community rail trails, as you know. And as I kind of traveled along on my bicycle, I started to do a lot of research about the old railroad stops and the old local communities, and became more and more interested in that. And then I just decided I was going to make a TV show about it.
A TV show? Wow. So tell us a little bit about the history of railroads in our local community. I know right down the street where Rollins has his equipment, that was a railroad station.
Yes, that was the old Boxford Railroad Station, and it's one of the few railroad stations in Massachusetts that was actually built as a private residence for the station master. And the railroad, just a few hundred yards from here, runs through. That was the old Newburyport branch railroad that runs from Newburyport down to Wakefield via Danvers, Topsfield, Danvers, Peabody, Linfield, and then down to Wakefield across the marsh there on 128 down by the Sheraton Hotel.
Yeah, which everybody knows is Pleasure Island Road.
Pleasure Island Road, exactly. And I became fascinated with the old railroad as I started to ride the rail, and then started to research the local history, and then started to discover many things about these locations that I never knew, and that many of the local people didn't really know when I started to talk to them about. And then those conversations I found very interesting with people around the local history, and I think that's going to be a key part of the show as well.
Well, I grew up in Marblehead, and as a kid I remember taking the railroad from Green Street to Lynn and then into Boston with my grandmother. She was a buyer for J.T. Rogers in Lynn, and so her job was to go around and see what the competition was doing. And obviously the Filene's Basement was a big destination for us, and we'd take the railroad in, and at Christmas Jordan Marsh would have their Christmas display with all the moving wooden soldiers and things that Jordan Furniture in Avon has now brought back to life, which is wonderful.
Yeah,
and the Jordan Marsh's blueberry muffins are the best in the world.
Well, see, these are exactly the types of stories that we want to put on film. As we ride, we want to stop in at local establishments and start to speak to people about where they're from and really where they're going, because you were from Marblehead and you were going to Jordan Marsh, and I think there are thousands of those types of stories all around the North Shore.
Yeah, no, that was quite an amazing time, and I can remember that was always a big thrill, was to go with Grammy into Boston, and and it was not, you didn't get there in 10 minutes either. It was a slow ride.
From Marblehead, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was, because we go in the winter, and the railroad station had a big, huge potbelly stove in it, and it was kind of neat, never having seen one of those.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a key part of our show is really about adventure. So when you were riding that old railroad, it was really certainly an adventure going from Marblehead to Jordan Marsh. And for us, when we get on these old railroads, some of them are converted to bike path, but some of them are still abandoned with fences that we have to climb over. and we never know what we're going to run up against.
Right.
So it's really sort of about the path less traveled, and trying to find adventure along the way in our local community.
Well, that's great, and I know that both Boxford, Topsfield, and Danvers, and Wenham, to a certain extent, have been very proactive in taking advantage of some, I believe it's federal funding,
Yes.
for these rail trails to convert them and actually make them usable again.
Yeah,
for the general
the
populace.
timing on this is, to do a show like this is really the right time, because all these railroads are in the process of being converted to these community pathways.
Right.
Yeah, it's nice.
So what's the Topsfield? I do not. I'm not a bicyclist. I used to be as a kid, but as I've gotten older, and yeah, the last bicycle event was a few years ago, and I ended up in a pine bush down in the Cape, because I found very quickly you cannot bicycle over sand at high speed really well.
No,
you
that's
can
not gonna
actually
work too
can
good.
fly pretty good, but
Yeah, absolutely. And we will have some falls on the journey, I'm sure.
yes. So you have brought some clips with you.
Yes, I have.
Okay, so the first clip is right here in Topsfield, where, now tell us where the rail trail in Topsfield starts.
Okay, the rail trail in Topsfield really begins at where the old train station is, right down on Main Street, near St. Rose's Church.
And that's now there's a bicycle shop in that building?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Topsfield Bike Shop. Dave is the
That's the
owner.
new
Yeah.
building that was put
That's
up
the new-
about 5 years ago. I
Yeah,
think.
the actual station was down a little further, near the parking lot
Right.
on Main Street.
Yeah, and people that remember it, it was really like a little tiny little shack, as I remember.
Oh, do you remember it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember the one remnant of it was like, it looked like a little shed or
Yeah.
something that they tore down.
Most of the train stations were pretty much little shacks along these different branch railroads.
Yeah, definitely not Penn Central.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to show that. We're going to take a break for a second while we cue that up.
Okay. Okay, this part of the journey starts right at Topsfield Center, and we're traveling to the next stop, and that is Putnamville in the north of Danvers Center. And along this stretch, we see a lot of beautiful marshes and swamps that are really sort of, where the railroad was built. When they built these railroads, they didn't really care about zoning requirements, conservation laws. They just put that line right through the middle of some of the most beautiful land in the North Shore. One of the key things that I like about riding on this rail trail, it brings a perspective that you don't usually see of the local community, and a perspective that I think answers this question about where you're from. And when we talk about being from Wenham or Topsfield or Danvers, certainly riding down this stretch is certainly a perspective that most people don't experience driving in the car. Okay, so now we're crossing over to 97 and heading now from this Wenham stretch down to Putnamville. On the way on this stretch is we're in the middle of all of these communities. Is sort of the area where Wenham, Topsfield, and Danvers all come together. And as we travel along these various stretches, we can start to see the transitions between the construction, the Wenham construction, the Danvers construction, the Topsfield construction. Each individual town has used their own construction techniques within the construction of the bike paths.
Okay, that was really nice, Mike. It was some gorgeous scenery you had out there.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I've envisioned, and this summer I promise I will walk it. Just don't run me over. So what interesting things did you find along the way on that particular stretch of trail?
That's a good question, Brad, because we're always looking for the offshoot of the path. And sometimes it's a dead end, which is fine, but sometimes you find a little treasure like the swamp walk. And this is a little pathway that sweeps out into the swamps around Danvers and allows us to travel right through the swamp through a boardwalk that they've constructed.
Okay, so the further south as you head towards Boston, you come into the Saugus branch, which is a different branch of the railroad.
That's right. Yeah. So that branch connects the Eastern Railroad at Lynn, where the GE plant is. That's where it branches and cuts across along the Saugus River through Lynn, Saugus, North Revere along the Rumney Marsh, Malden, Everett, and then kind of comes in near the Malden Bridge by the Schrass factory where I finally work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a distance. And
It's quite a
It must be a
distance.
challenging distance from a bicyclist standpoint.
It is, although there's a lot of the towns there have done a lot of
Yeah.
work in putting the bike path in the last few years, especially Saugus and Malden and Everett. And now Revere has just started a stretch there where they've started the construction.
Okay, so you have a clip of, and from what I saw when we were previewing the clips, this is really beautiful. This
Yes.
one particular section.
Yes, it's kind of interesting in that, okay, Lynn has probably done the least on this community bike path as of any of the towns, but they do have one of the most beautiful spots on the bike path. So when it is completely finished, it will be one of the jewels of the whole Saugus branch rail trail.
Okay, so this is a clip from the East Saugus River down near the GE plant? Or?
Well, the stop before the stop was at Radden Station, and that it's Radden Street in Lynn, and it goes to East Saugus at Boston Street.
Okay.
And East Saugus is the Lynn and Saugus line at Boston Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's that clip. Okay, Mike, tell us, you got a big event coming up Saturday, April 19th.
Yes, that's Patriots Day weekend, and it's somewhat significant because it's the 1-year anniversary of Boston Strong, and really sort of the point in time when I really started to think about doing this show. And what we're going to do is really use all the footage that we have now and all our knowledge about the history and start to build a film shoot to produce the highest quality TV show that we can. So we're going to leave Boxford Station at 10 o'clock in the morning on April 19th, Saturday, April 19th, and we're going to journey down through Boxford to Topsfield, to Danvers, and down to the Rebecca Nurse Homestead, and then we're going to finish the day of shooting at the Maple Street Tavern, where we'll interview some of the Rail Trail Committee from Danvers and interview some of the people there about local history. So people are also welcome to join us at the Maple Street Tavern as well, and to celebrate the end of the shoot.
So now you're also going to interview Steve Davis from Boxford. Is that going to be at the start of the?
Actually, Steve is on a he's on a bicycle trip on that Saturday, but I'm going to interview him at 11 o'clock on Sunday.
Okay, so
So
that'll be
it's
included
sort
in-
of a weekend shoot, but the main part of the day will be on Saturday.
Okay, so obviously all residents, anybody that's has a bicycle or wants to walk part of it or wants to get down and support along the
Absolutely.
way.
Anyone that wants to join, if you have a bicycle, you have a GoPro camera, you have a cell phone camera, you don't have a camera, and you just want to come along and have some fun, then join us at the Boxford station at 10 o'clock in the morning and join in on
Now,
some
for
of the
those
festivities.
that don't know where the Boxford station is,
The Boxford station is located where the Rollins Well Company is on the corner of Depot Road and Pond Street.
right down just off of 97,
Yes.
adjacent to Route 95.
Yes, and then we'll take a ride up the old train line to Kelsey Nursery, the Kelsey Arboretum, and take a small tour of that, and then we'll go the back way down to Boxford Village via the French Woodlot, through the back trails as well.
I believe the term is Overhill and Overdale. And
Overhill, Overdale, the path less traveled, and the past less traveled as well.
Well, boy, this sounds real exciting. It really does.
Oh,
it sounds
thank
like
you.
It's a lot of fun, and God, we wish you a lot of luck.
I really appreciate your help on this. It's really
Yeah.
kind of you to have me here
Well, I
today
think
to
we
talk
got
about
Ben.
the project.
I think we got Ben already committed to put his GoPro
Thanks,
on.
Ben. Awesome.
Ben
Fantastic.
Roscoe's running camera for us right now, so we're going to leave you some images of some historical images that Mike has
Some
been able to.
historical images of the various stops along the way, schedules, various pictures that we've uncovered through the research that we're doing about the history of these local communities.
Okay, well, thank you very much from Mike White from HaveBikeT.tv.
Yes.
And don't forget to check out his website. You have some videos out there as well.
Some videos, we'll be adding more and more, and there'll be more information about the film shoot on Patriots Day weekend, and then more film shoots after that as we continue the journey from Boxford to Charlestown.
Okay. Again, this is Brad Sweet. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Brad, thank you very
You're welcome.
much.
Take care, and good luck, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks now, about 3 weeks.
Thank you.
Do you think we'll still have snow in those trails?
We probably will. But that will make good television too as we make our way through it.
Okay. Take care, folks.